Why don't you just disappear? My stepdaughter snapped during a fight. Her mother joined in. We'd be better off without you. I didn't say a word, just packed my bags. This morning my phone blew up with 13 missed calls. Something felt off the moment I walked into our living room this Sunday morning. The house was unusually quiet, but that wasn't it. My eyes swept across the room, trying to place what was wrong. Then it hit me. All our family photos looked different. I stepped closer to the large frame above the fireplace, the one from our trip to Yellowstone last summer. The photo was there, but I wasn't. Every picture of me had been carefully removed, leaving awkward gaps in family moments spanning the last 3 years. I stood there, coffee cup growing cold in my hand, when I heard Stella's door upstairs close softly. My stepdaughter's footsteps paused at the top of the stairs. She'd obviously noticed I was up. After a moment's hesitation, she continued down, phone in hand, deliberately not making eye contact as she headed for the kitchen. "Morning," I said, keeping my voice neutral. The silence that followed was heavy with intent. 3 years. That's how long I'd been in Stella's life. 3 years of carefully building trust, of movie nights and math homework help, of trying to be there without pushing too hard. Now at 16, she'd started pulling away. I'd been expecting typical teenage rebellion, but this felt different. It started last week when I offered to help with her chemistry project. She'd been struggling with the subject, and I thought, well, it doesn't matter what I thought. Her response was like a slap. "Stop pretending you care about my grades. You're not my real dad." I'd heard variations of that before, but something in her tone was new, sharp, deliberate. Delilah, my wife, was in the kitchen and must have heard, but she said nothing. That silence felt like choosing sides. The tension built over the week. Small things. Dishes left in the sink with pointed looks. Doors closing just a bit too hard. Conversations that stopped when I entered rooms. Delilah grew distant too, deflecting when I tried to discuss what was happening. "She's just being a teenager, Thomas. Don't make it about you." But last night, everything exploded. Stella was texting at dinner, against our usual rules. When I gently reminded her, she threw her phone down. "God, why are you always policing everything I do? Why can't you just leave me alone?" "Stella," I started. "I'm just trying to..." "To what? Play dad? I already have one." She stood up, chair scraping against the floor. "Why don't you just disappear? Nobody asked you to try so hard. It's pathetic." I looked at Delilah, expecting, I don't know what I expected. Support. Mediation. Instead, she set down her fork and said quietly, "Maybe we'd all be better off if you did." The words hung in the air like smoke. 3 years of memories flashed through my mind. The day Stella first laughed at one of my dad jokes. The night she called me in tears when her first boyfriend broke up with her. The proud smile Delilah gave me when Stella asked me, not her mom, to help pick out her prom dress. I stood up slowly, my dinner half eaten. "Okay," I said. Simply okay. "Okay, what?" Stella challenged, but there was a flicker of something in her eyes. Uncertainty, maybe, if that's how you both feel. "Okay." I walked upstairs to our bedroom and pulled out my old duffel bag. I could hear them whispering downstairs, but nobody came up. As I packed enough clothes for a few days, I noticed my hands weren't shaking. I felt oddly calm. When I came down, Stella was gone, probably to her room. Delilah stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. "So you're just leaving? That's your solution? You said you'd be better off," I replied, checking for my keys and wallet. "I'm respecting that. That's not... I didn't mean..." She stopped. Pride or anger or something else holding back whatever she was going to say. I picked up my bag. "I'll be at Ryan's. I'll figure out something more permanent soon." I paused at the door. When Stella said those things before, it hurt. But hearing you agree, that broke something, Del. I drove to Ryan's place in silence. He took one look at me and set up his guest room without questions. That's the kind of friend he is. I turned off my phone and took a sleeping pill from the emergency stash in my travel kit. This morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar curtains. When I finally turned on my phone, it exploded with notifications. 13 missed calls. 8 from Delilah, 3 from Stella, 2 from Quinn, my sister, 27 text messages. For voicemails, I haven't listened to them yet. I'm sitting here in Ryan's guest room, watching the morning traffic below, thinking about those empty spaces in our family photos. Maybe they were always there, and I just didn't want to see them. My phone buzzes again. It's Stella. After everything that happened, I find myself staring at her name on the screen, wondering what could be so urgent now. But I'm not ready. Not yet. Sometimes the hardest thing isn't walking away. It's knowing whether you should walk back. Update 1. First, thank you all for the supportive comments on my last post. I didn't expect such an overwhelming response. To address the most common questions, yes, I've read the messages. No, I haven't replied to any of them yet. And yes, I'm still at Ryan's. This morning started like the others. Me pretending to focus on work while actually staring at my phone, wondering if I should break the silence. Then Ryan dropped a bomb over breakfast. Miles is back in town, he said, sliding his phone across the table. There on Facebook was a photo of Stella's biological father, tagged at a local restaurant 2 weeks ago. The same Miles who hasn't paid child support in 3 years. The same Miles who missed Stella's last 4 birthdays. Suddenly, the timing of everything made sense. I scrolled through my texts again. Delilah's messages had evolved from angry, real mature, Thomas, running away instead of talking, to concerned, please just let us know you're okay, to something more complex. Her latest read, there's something you need to know. It's Stella. Please call. Quinn showed up around lunch, armed with coffee and that no-nonsense look she gets when she's about to meddle in my life. You look like hell, she announced, dropping into Ryan's couch. Thanks. Always good to see you too, sis. She didn't smile. I ran into Stella at the mall yesterday. That got my attention. How is she? Meeting Miles for coffee. She didn't see me. Quinn watched my reaction carefully. She looked hopeful. You know that look she gets? Like when she's trying not to get too excited about something. I knew exactly what she meant. It's the same look Stella had when she got accepted to that summer program last year. Like she was afraid to believe something good was really happening. Did you know he's been messaging her for months? Quinn continued, promising to make things right this time. My stomach twisted. I checked Stella's Instagram, something I rarely do. Her latest post was a photo of her and Miles, captioned, "Real family time." The comments were filled with heart emojis from her friends, none of whom knew the history there. Ryan, who'd been quietly listening, spoke up. Remember what happened last time he showed up? When Stella was 13. I remembered. Miles had swept in with grand promises. Lasted 2 weeks. Then disappeared again. Stella didn't get out of bed for days after. Delilah and I spent months rebuilding her trust, convincing her she was enough, that she deserved better. As if on cue, my phone lit up with a text from Delilah. He's asking her to move in with him. She's actually considering it. Please, Thomas. I know you're angry with me, but she needs you. I started typing several responses. Deleted them all. What could I say? Sorry you told me to disappear, but now you need me to reappear? The whole situation felt like a cruel joke. Then came another notification. Stella's new Instagram story. A picture of college brochures spread across her bed, with the caption, "Big change is coming. Sometimes you have to choose your real path." Those were Miles's exact words from 3 years ago, right before he moved across the country for his real path and stopped answering Stella's calls. Quinn must have seen something in my face. What are you thinking? I'm thinking about the day I married Delilah, I said slowly. Remember what Stella said in her speech? How sometimes family finds you when you're not looking for it. And now she's posting about her real family and her real path while Miles plays Father of the Year. He's got her convinced. I stopped as my phone started ringing. Unknown number. Thomas, this is Miss Anderson from Riverside High. I'm Stella's guidance counselor. I know this is unusual, but I need to speak with you about some concerning changes in Stella's academic plans and recent behavior. Would you be able to come in tomorrow morning? I agreed to the meeting, my mind racing. Stella had been maintaining straight A's since freshman year, determined to get into a good college. What could have changed? After I hung up, Quinn and Ryan were both watching me expectantly. So, Quinn prompted, "I think it's time to stop being silent." I picked up my phone and finally opened the voicemail from Stella. Her voice was small, unlike her usual confidence. "I know you probably hate me now, and I get it. I need to tell you something about why I said those things. About Miles. Just please call me back." There was something in her voice that reminded me of the 13-year-old girl who used to check the mailbox every day, hoping for a letter that never came. "I'm meeting with the guidance counselor tomorrow at 9 o'clock. After that, I think it's time for some honest conversations. Because the thing about disappearing is, sometimes it lets you see things more clearly from a distance." The school's number is still on my screen. Next to it is a text notification from Miles to our family group chat, which I'm still part of. "Great news. Big announcement at dinner tomorrow night. I have a feeling I know exactly what that announcement will be. And I'm not going to let history repeat itself." Update 2. I've spent the last hour trying to figure out how to write this update. The meeting with Miss Anderson revealed things I never expected. And the events that followed. Well, let me start from the beginning. I arrived at Riverside High early, watching students rush to first period. A few of Stella's classmates recognized me, their quick glances and whispers telling me rumors were already circulating about my absence. Miss Anderson didn't waste time once I sat down. Stella submitted paperwork to withdraw from her advanced placement classes yesterday, she said, sliding a form across her desk. She's also dropping French club and student council. When I asked why, she said she's transferring schools next semester. My chest tightened. These were the programs Stella had fought to get into, the extracurriculars she'd been banking on for college applications. "There's more," Miss Anderson continued. "Last week, she asked me to send her transcripts to 3 different schools, all in California." She paused, watching me carefully. "The same city where Miles recently bought property." That's when the pieces started falling into place. I pulled out my phone, showing her Miles's big announcement text. "Let me guess. He's opening a new business out there." She nodded. Stella mentioned something about a startup. Said her father needs family investors to get it off the ground. The familiar sick feeling returned. The same one I got 3 years ago when Miles convinced Delilah to loan him money for a sure-thing business venture. Money we never saw again. I left the school and drove straight to our house. Delilah's car was in the driveway, and through the window I could see her pacing in the kitchen, phone to her ear. She spotted me and rushed to open the door before I could even knock. "He asked her for money," she said immediately. "Her college fund. He's been filling her head with promises about this tech startup, saying if she invests now, she'll make enough to pay for any college she wants." "Where is she?" "Coffee with Miles again." Delilah's voice cracked. I tried telling her it's a scam, but she accused me of being jealous, that he's finally stepping up. She said at least he believes in her dreams. I sat down at our kitchen counter, the same spot where everything fell apart a week ago. "Why didn't you tell me he was back?" I tried to handle it myself. Thought if I kept them apart. She shook her head. "Then you and Stella had that fight and she said those things and I just panicked. Sided with her because I was afraid if I didn't, she'd choose him completely." Before I could respond, the front door opened. Stella walked in, freezing when she saw me. She looked different, makeup done carefully, wearing the expensive jacket Miles must have bought her. But her eyes were red. "What are you doing here?" she asked, but the usual edge was missing from her voice. "Dropping your AP classes? Really?" I kept my tone gentle. "What happened to Stanford?" "Plans change," she mumbled, not meeting my eyes. Miles says," I corrected quietly. Something flickered across her face. "He has connections out there. The startup is guaranteed to, like the classic car dealership was guaranteed, or the food truck franchise." I pulled out my laptop, opening the documents I'd spent the morning gathering. I did some digging. Want to see Miles's current business registration status? Or his credit report? Or maybe the 3 pending lawsuits from his last guaranteed investment opportunity? Stella's hands trembled as she took the laptop. With each click, each document, the careful facade cracked a little more. When she reached the lawsuit from his previous stepdaughter's grandmother, seeking to recover college funds he'd borrowed, the first tear fell. He said, she swallowed hard. He said he's changed, that he wants to make up for lost time, that we could be a real family if... She stopped, looking up at me suddenly. The photo album. He said I had to prove I was choosing him, that you were the reason he stayed away, because you took his place. Oh, sweetie. Delilah moved toward her, but Stella stepped back. I knew, she whispered. Deep down, I think I knew, but I wanted so badly to believe. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Miles. She stared at it for a long moment before turning it off completely. I have to go, she said abruptly, heading for the stairs. I need to think. We let her go. Sometimes space is the kindest thing you can offer. Hours passed. Delilah and I really talked, for the first time in weeks, about fears and mistakes, about Stella and Miles, about us. Around midnight, I was getting ready to head back to Ryan's when my phone lit up with a text from Stella. I messed up. Everything's messed up. Can we talk? I mean, really talk. Not about Miles or money or anything. Just, remember when we used to get ice cream after my dance classes and you'd let me rant about school drama? Could we maybe do that? I know I don't deserve it, but I'm typing this from the car, parked outside our local ice cream place. It's technically closed, but the owner knows us. We've been coming here for 3 years. He's staying open late just for us. Stella just pulled up in her mom's car. She's sitting there, probably working up the courage to come in. Just like I am. Sometimes the hardest conversations start with the smallest steps. Or in this case, with mint chocolate chip ice cream at midnight. Finally, update. That night at the ice cream shop changed everything. Stella talked for hours about Miles's manipulation, her fears, her guilt, but it was what she mentioned in passing that caught my attention. Miles had been asking her to convince her friend's parents to invest in his startup too. Something clicked. I remembered the lawsuits I'd found, the pattern of targeting families through their children. The rage I'd been suppressing finally had a purpose. I said carefully, what he's doing isn't just morally wrong. It's illegal. Stella looked up from her melting ice cream. What do you mean? I explained about securities fraud, about running unauthorized investment schemes. Her eyes widened as she pulled out her phone, showing me the group chats where Miles had been directly soliciting investments from minors. That night, after dropping Stella home, I made some calls. Quinn has a friend at the SEC. Ryan knows someone in the DA's office. By morning, I had a plan. Miles didn't see it coming. He was too focused on his big announcement dinner, where he planned to convince Stella to sign over her college fund. He'd even invited some of her friends' parents. More potential targets. The dinner was at an expensive restaurant. Miles was in his element, talking about Silicon Valley connections and guaranteed returns. I waited until the appetizers arrived before standing up. Before we continue, I said, there are some people who'd like to join us. On cue, 2 federal agents and a state investigator walked in. Miles's face went from confident to confused to terrified in seconds. Turns out Miles wasn't just running one scam. The investigators found 7 different fraudulent schemes across 3 states. Every time he'd reconnect with Stella over the years, he'd been setting up new victims. The classic car dealership that cost Delilah her savings? Part of a larger fraud scheme. The food truck franchise? Same pattern. But here's the beautiful part. He'd gotten sloppy this time. Documented everything in texts and emails to Stella, thinking she'd never turn on him. When she forwarded those messages to the investigators, his fate was sealed. The parents at the dinner? They were wearing wires. Every promise, every lie, every illegal investment pitch was recorded. Miles tried to run, actually knocked over a waiter and sprinted for the door. He made it 3 steps before security stopped him. As they led him away, he looked at Stella with that manipulative puppy dog expression she'd fallen for so many times. Sweetie, this is all a misunderstanding. Tell them, I'm your father. Stella stood up, shoulders straight. My father's right here, she said, taking my hand. And he just watched you get exactly what you deserve. The aftermath was intense. News coverage, Victim statements. More families coming forward. The investigators found over $2.3 million in stolen funds. Miles is looking at 15 to 20 years. His startup was non-existent. Just a website and some stolen photos of a real tech company's office. But the real victory wasn't watching Miles get arrested. It was the small moments that followed. Stella put all her photos with Miles in a box and donated it to the prosecution. Evidence, she called it, with a hint of her old smile. She reapplied for her AP classes. The school was understanding, given the circumstances. Her friends' parents, instead of being angry, formed a support group for families affected by similar scams. Something good from something awful. Last night, Stella asked me to help her with her college essays. I have a pretty unique story now, she said. How many people can write about taking down their biological father's fraud empire? Delilah and I are in counseling. There's trust to rebuild, wounds to heal. But watching her stick those photos of me back in the family albums, carefully straightening each one, that said more than words could. This morning, Stella came down for breakfast early. She had an envelope with her. I found this in my room, she said, sliding it across the table. Miles asked me to mail it last week. It's investment paperwork for his startup. I thought maybe you'd want to add it to the evidence file. I looked at the envelope, then at her. Want to deliver it to the investigators together? She grinned. That real, unguarded smile I'd missed. Can we get ice cream after? Some people might say the revenge was too harsh. That family is family, no matter what. But real family doesn't try to steal your future. Real family protects you, even if that means protecting you from other family. Miles's sentencing is next month. Stella's planning to read a victim impact statement. She's been working on it for weeks, revising each word carefully. Yesterday she asked me to look it over. It needs a good ending, she said. Something that shows I'm not just his victim anymore. I think she's already found that ending. It's in the way she holds her head up now, and how she's helping other kids spot similar scams. In the college brochures back on her desk. Her real path, not the one Miles tried to sell her. Sometimes moving forward means making sure the past can't hurt anyone else. And sometimes the best revenge isn't just watching someone face consequences. It's thriving despite them. We're having a family dinner tonight. Just the three of us. Stella's making her famous pasta sauce. The one she learned from watching cooking videos with me during lockdown. Normal. Boring. Wonderful family stuff. The kind of stuff Miles will have plenty of time to think about from his cell. Once loyal,